Hello, the purpose of this video is to introduce you to the power of process assignments, well, specifically to one of the two power of process assignments for this semester. All right, as always, I'm at the Welcome Start Here page. We're using the V13, the INRW 0304 V13 page or Blackboard shell, but this applies equally to the V14 and V15, V15 sections if you're in one of those. Okay, last week I showed you, I'm going to press that link there, syllabus and schedule, etc. I showed you some changes that I made by adding the late due date. And so let's look at, and I talk about those changes and I kind of guide you through, orient you through that in the video from last week, which was about, what was it about? Vocabulary, right? About the vocabulary quizzes. And so make sure you watch that because I devote the first few minutes to us looking for us. We look carefully at the schedule. And the same thing is true with the syllabus. Last week, in that video for the vocabulary, the Connect vocabulary assignments, I also showed you the features of the syllabus now that the late due dates are there as well. Okay, now for week 8, there are several things going on. Well, not that many things going on. You do have a grammar assignment, and notice there is no vocabulary assignment, right? Not this week. And there isn't either one of those course reading and writing topics assignments. This is the first week that there isn't one due on time on this week. But there is a new type of assignment, which is the Connect Power of Process Reading and Writing Activities assignment. And I call it for reading number 1, or the assignment is for reading number 1, an article called How Not to Say the Wrong Thing. This assignment becomes available, or when you're watching this video, it's already available at 1 p.m. Monday, October 12th. It is due on the 16th, which is the 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th. That's a Friday the 16th. But there is now notice this column is there. The late due date is also there. October 23rd. And actually, this is the only date that Connect knows. It is in Connect. The way Connect is set up is that it will take your submission, your work, all the way till 11:59 p.m. on October 23rd. Connect doesn't know that I have, and not an early deadline, but rather an on-time deadline. All right. So you really should try to get it done by the 16th. But if you need more time, you have till the 23rd, 11:59 p.m. And I won't go into the ins and outs of and the wisdom of turning things in on time rather than waiting till the late deadline. I don't want to go into that here. And especially since I'll need a little more time than usual, I think, when I'm at the assignment to kind of show you around on that assignment. All right, so let me go up to the syllabus and all we'll do is we'll click on this topic outline. You can also just scroll down, and I'll quickly scroll down through to week 8, and you can see the same things, very similar to what's on the course, that master schedule that I showed you, that big chart. The only difference that here it does show when things become available. Week 8, right? Week 8, final essay 0, final draft. I'm noticing something that says here, available essay 0, final draft. Well, oh, I see what that is. Okay. This is not a topic for this video. I'll tell you, I'm going to tell you about this next week, on Monday, October 19th. So even though it's mentioned there, don't worry about it. And again, the purpose of this video is not to talk about this assignment. And so I won't worry about it, and neither should you. Okay. So what we're looking at is the Connect Power of Process Reading and Writing Activities assignment for how not to say the right thing. No, the other thing, how not to say the wrong thing. Due, as you can see the due dates on time and late right there. Okay, so that's the syllabus. I'm just going to close that. And then just to know where to find things, really a couple of ways to look for it is by, clicking the Connect Assignments folder. Click that and press that. I won't do that right now, but that would take you there. Course content, you can also follow, you can drill down through the folders, the folder structure. You click on this and then Connect Assignments. Again, I won't click on that because it'll take you where you need to go, or me where we need to go, but I want to access that through the weekly folder instead. So I could go here to course content or up here. Either way, I'm back at the general course content folder or page, and we can scroll down to week 8. I think it's the easiest way to navigate, everything that's due that week. And so again, here is the essay. Oh yeah, I said that. Don't worry about that. Yeah, don't worry about that. I'll tell you about that next week. Connect assignments and attendance quiz. Those are really the only things due. And again, remember, like I said before, it just shows you that there's at least one, right? It says connect assignments. There's at least one thing due, but from the syllabus and from the chart that I just showed you, that there are 2 types of connect assignments due. So now let's go ahead and press it. Finally, we press on the link, and we scroll down to what we need, which is the Power of Process Reading and Writing Activities. And yeah, you also have a grammar assignment due, right? That begins. Oh, I mean, they became available in September, but there's an assignment that will be due this week on October 17th and then late deadline on the 24th. But I'm not focusing on this because I already introduced grammar assignments back on September 28th. So I'm focusing on this because there are only 2 of this type of assignment. The second one I'll introduce 2 weeks from now, right? But for now we're doing this one, and so it's just a matter of pressing on here, pressing that link, and notice currently it's the only one that's available or will become available. When you press on this link, it takes you, it takes me into the teacher or the instructor or developer interface of Connect. You would not see this in your case. Let me after a few clicks, you'll see what it would take you to. Okay, when you press on the link, it would take you to this menu, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure if it'll take you to this menu, but this is the student interface. This is where the different assignments are. Power of Process is here. And I think it would take you here. All right. But I'm not 100% sure. The reason I say that is that this is kind of like where all the assignments are, all 4 categories, right? Kind of in a folder. I'm not able to start it because I am in the student view, and technically students don't have access till October 12th, 1 p.m. and I'm producing this video like over more than 24 hours before that. So I cannot access it through here. So I'm going to have to access it, but just so that you know that this might be the view that you get, right? And that you would click on it, you would press continue, and it would take you into the assignment. Or again, I have to, since I can't see it exactly the way you see it, I think it might take you directly into the assignment. It wouldn't take you into this. This is another teacher view, but I'm using it to get to that student view. So I think it's preview. All right, so the reason I wasn't sure is that it might take you straight into here. In other words, it wouldn't take you into the menu. You would pick it and then press continue. I think it would just take you into this. And that's fortunate because, at least for me, in order to make this video, I have to be able to enter it somehow. So yeah, you would see this. You would see that it's item 410, on the different Blackboard assignment items. Power of process, reading number 1, how not to say the right, again, how not to say the wrong thing, instructions. And notice what it says here. I'm actually going to zoom in. There we go, nice and big. Do all of the assigned power of process activities for the reading in order. So you learned from this already that there are, I mean, for me to say all, that means that there are many. There aren't like 2 or 3. There are many power of process activities for this reading, and the reading is an article with that title. And that you're supposed to do these in order or clockwise, in clockwise order. So clockwise order, I mean, you have to kind of think of an old-fashioned clock, right, not a digital one. And you start at the 12 at the top, and then you move kind of, I would say, to the right, to the 1, to the 2, 3, 4, and then all the way back to 12, right? And so that's clockwise order. It's a movement toward the right, clockwise. Like righty-tighty, lefty-loosey when you're trying to, like, you know, open something. So I guess it would be righty-tighty. So clockwise, and there is the first activity, and of course you can't see this yet, we'll see it in just a moment. The first activity is something called before reading, preview the text. So your first activity in response to this reading, which you'll get access to also, you're going to read something, an article, and then the first thing you're going to do is preview the text, okay? And actually, I said you're going to read it. No. Before you read it like word for word, you will first preview it. And that's called, naturally, a process that happens before reading, okay? So that's what's going to be at the top of this clockwise, you know, like it'll be like at the top, and then you'll move this way to the next activity, this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, until you get back to the beginning, the last activity, and you're done with all 15, because there are 15 activities for you to do. Here's an important note: don't plagiarize. Don't include in your responses any words, information, ideas, etc. copied off the internet or elsewhere. Respond with your own words and ideas. All right. I don't want to go too deep into that, but you've been advised. I guess a question would be, what happens if I do? Well, I'll probably catch it and you'll get a 0 on the assignment, or worse. There are different things that can be done depending on, it depends, but at minimum it would be a 0 on the assignment, minimum. Okay, let's see, I'm gonna press, the due date, of course, is October 23rd, because as I told you, Blackboard only knows the late deadline. It only knows the date and time. It knows the literal last minute, you know, when the assignment should still be available, you know, before which or up to which time you can submit it. Okay, so but you know that this assignment really is due 1 week earlier on October 16th, and that's really the preference so that you can stay on track on all your assignments. All right, now if you're going to go back, that means you go back to, I don't know, the previous menu where all the assignments are, I suppose. I don't think this would take you back to Blackboard. Maybe it would, maybe it wouldn't. I'm not sure, but I'm not going to press on that. I'm going to press on start. Okay, when you press on start, it shows you this wheel. It says select the strategy below to continue. You can return to any strategy as many times as you want, and really technically in whatever order you want. But I am recommending that you start with, it said in the previous instruction, in the before reading, preview the text. Now, I use Control on my keyboard. I use Control plus and Control minus to zoom in and out. I'm trying to see if by zooming in and out, it'll be less crunchy, because you see kind of like words are running into each other. But it seems like it's hard to fix that. But you can still see it. This right here, before reading preview the text, is this slice of this kind of pie right here. And then before reading predict what you'll read is this one. Before reading recognize prior knowledge is this one. Before reading ask questions about the text is this one, and then so on and so forth. So just, you know, whatever words are there, it's that slice. This phrase, that slice. This phrase, that slice, okay? So remember, I said, although technically you can do this in whatever order, and I do agree you can return to things and change it, before you submit the whole thing, that's fine. I do strongly advise that you start here and then work your way clockwise this way, okay? So I'm going to press the first one. Now, when I want to go back to the wheel, especially when I'm done with this assignment, this little piece right here, I'll click back on view my process. So you see, there it is. Notice the color changed because Connect noticed that I worked on it, right? So I think this change color means that it was selected, and whether it was finished or not, the student selected it, right, and started. So here is the first thing. It says before reading. So before reading what? What is it? Here it is, right? So you have to scroll down. You're wondering, well, what do I read? Okay, well, just go down, and there it is. How Not to Say the Wrong Thing by Susan Silk and Barry Goldman, an article that was published on April 7th, 2013. Okay, so, but notice I'm not going to read it yet because it says before reading, preview the text. So here is the prompt. When you look at the title, author, headings, paragraphs, vocabulary, or any other clues, what do you learn about the text? That is the main instruction. Now, I added this in all caps. That doesn't mean I'm shouting at you or anything. It just means that I want you to notice it. Please write. I remember there was one year when I was doing these activities and I put it in parentheses, and students were simply not noticing it, okay? So I took it out of the parentheses and I wrote it in all caps, all right? So there it is, in our faces, right? Your face and my face, everyone's face, so we shouldn't miss it. So please write 20 or more words in one or more sentences. Notice how I'm saying that, even though I wrote 20 plus and 1 plus, I'm saying it in words. That means write 20 or more words in one or more sentences. So the minimum is one sentence, and a sentence has a subject and a verb and expresses a complete thought, ends in a period. Unless you're writing a question, then I guess it's a question mark. Avoid the exclamation points, okay? Friendly advice. But anyway, some people say you only get to use 8 of those your whole life. That's not true, but often they're unnecessary. But period is a typical thing. So a complete sentence, and you can write 2 or 3 or 4. I mean, one sentence is a minimum. You can write more than one. The same thing with the number of words. So if I type a sentence there and it's like a 5-word sentence or even a 19-word sentence, that's too short. And I will be counting. I will be copying and pasting your sentences into a Word document, and there I will look at all the counts. And basically, I'm telling you that I insist that you meet each minimum. I would say do not write, for this first activity, don't write 200 words, all right? I mean, if you want to go ahead, but I don't know if there's that much to say. And by the same token, don't write like 30 sentences. And I'm thinking you're not going to do that because it would take you much longer to do that. So kind of close to the minimum. A little bit more, 30 words, 1 or 2 sentences is probably enough for this. Just remember, you want to get through the assignment and turn it in by the on-time deadline, and I'm sure you have other things to do as well. Now, I will tell you also that I think all this reading has a title, but I don't think it has headings. There are some, especially more like some articles have like subheadings, like little mini titles kind of thrown in. And so you're not going to find that. If you don't find it, well, then you're not going to react to that. Author, you look at the author's name, and actually here we see that there are 2 authors. So what do you think of that, right? What is it that you want to say about the fact that there are 2 authors? What does that tell you, right? There are 2 authors. One of them is and I'm going to say it like this, seems to be a woman. Typically Susan is a female name, right? And Barry Goldman, again, seems to be a man. Typically Barry is a male name, right? Again, and here's the thing. It's okay to make assumptions because we're previewing the text. That's the name of the game here. We're making assumptions or guesses, inferences, just from quickly glancing through it. Now, it doesn't have headings. Headings are often useful because you can say, oh, from a little heading or a little mini title that was put here, probably that section will be about blah, 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 without having to read the paragraphs under it, right? But it does say paragraphs. When you look at the paragraphs, you're going to have to read something in the paragraph, maybe that's reading the first sentence in the paragraph, or reading the first and last sentence. Or maybe it's, you look at it and like right here, I looked at this one and the word Katie stands out. And I see that Katie is there twice. So I know that paragraph is about Katie, all right? So that's what it means to preview it rather than to read it, right? Because really you shouldn't read it at the outset. Vocabulary, some words might stand out. Intimate, intimate, right there. That word intimate. Moan, the word moan. Complain, scream, horrible. So there's a certain vocabulary that's being used. Now, I think I look at those words and I understand them all. Oh, I just saw something. I saw the word aneurysm, but then I lost it. I saw it somewhere in here. Okay, sorry, I lost the word, but I know I saw existential right there. Okay. So there's a word that I think I know that word, but it's a bit unfamiliar. An aneurysm, I think I know what that is. And there it is, brain aneurysm. But I probably couldn't give you a really precise medical definition of it, right? So again, I might write about that here. So let me try it out then. So I'm kind of like talking through some thoughts that I have as I look at the prompt, right? But let me try out doing this. So I would say something like, I can tell from the title that it may be about how people put their foot, right? Their feet in their mouths, right? Their foot in their mouth. I want to like make it plural because it's people, but really it happens like one at a time. So put their foot in their mouth. Right? There's some medical vocabulary. There's also some medical terminology. Right? And something else. There's a Katie. But I don't think I'm going to put that in my sentence. There's this: comfort in, dump out. Comfort in, dump out. That stands out because one could argue, especially I think I would argue this, that it's not grammatically correct. The sentence is really not a complete sentence. And it kind of breaks a rule of paragraphing, of splitting things into paragraphs, that it's just one sentence that stands as a paragraph. And that usually we say, you need to have at least two sentences in a paragraph. But because of that, it stands out. So after that I'm putting, and it has a one sentence paragraph. And actually I want to say a peculiar, right? A peculiar, interesting one sentence paragraph. So notice I met the minimum. I wrote two sentences, so I wrote more than one. Also, did I write enough words? I think so. There's 5, 10, 15, 20. Okay, I met the minimum, so I don't need to keep counting. Alternatively, I could take this. I could copy it. And I'm not going to do it, but I could. I'll start doing it. I would, go to Microsoft Word. You know what? Maybe I should. I'll click, since I'm kind of halfway there. I'll click on Microsoft Word. And I already copied this, right? A blank document open. The reason I don't want to do it is that it takes a little while, but that's fine. And then I'll just paste it here. It should retain it. There it is. And the nice thing about this is that there's let's see. I do have a counter, but it's out of the area. So let me see if I can pull the area lower. There it is. Now I expanded the screen. There it is, 31 words. So I know I made it for sure, right? Okay. You can't see that anymore, but there it is. So you could have your Word document open, and you could You could test. You could test. Oh, also, if you paste more things underneath, you can always just highlight the one you want, and you would see. Let me put it over time. Let's say there were. Let's pretend that this is one answer, and then this is another answer you want to test. I know they're the same, but let's imagine that you had another answer, and you want to test if you have the right number of words. I see down here that it says 62, but I want to test just this one. And so, oh, okay, that's right. Or I could erase the previous one. You know, it's probably not a bad idea to make a Word document with all the little entries that you make. It's just kind of like a little backup in case things go wrong. They shouldn't, but you could always copy and paste it from here into there. Like I said, in case something goes wrong. So I think this would be good, right? This meets the requirement, and so I can hit save. Once I hit save, it's done. Now, that doesn't mean I can't go back to it. I can go back to it and change it, because saving it here does not mean that I'm submitting it, all right? It's not ready for the instructor, for Mr. Pettis, right, to look at. It's not ready yet. I can go back and change it. There is a general submit for the whole thing, okay? That'll happen at the end. Now, by the way, I'm not going to do the whole thing, but I'll go on to the second one. Predict what you'll read. It's very similar. Kind of the same things. What do you think is the main idea? Okay. Now, the question isn't what is the main idea. It's still in the before reading category. So I could look it over again, or I can just, based on what I said before, and if I don't remember what it was, I can go back here. And you know what? I have a lot of tricks. I use a lot of tricks in my learning. I'm going to take this and copy it. Okay, I'll hit save again. And I'm going to paste it here. Now, this isn't my answer for this second activity. It isn't. But I want to look at what I wrote in the previous one so that I can know what to say. It'll make it easier to say something in this one. Once I've actually typed it, which I'll do in just a moment, I'll delete this one. See a little trick right there, right? And so I don't have to keep going back and forth. Or if I have my Word document, right, there it is, I can see it there. So there are many things you can do to make your life easier, right? Like that. Okay, but I'm using this method here. So, you know, from the medical terminology, I think the main idea may be that there's a way, or that there are ways to say the right thing to people dealing with illness, I suppose, dealing with illness. Yeah, that's just a guess. I mean, that really is what we're being asked to do. Really, to read the whole thing and then come up with a perfect answer is kind of cheating, all right? And I'm not saying cheating in the traditional sense that I'm going to give you a 0 on it. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that that's really not following the process. Remember, this is called the power of process. There's power in taking it step by step. And skipping steps might be okay, but here, really the instructions are don't skip steps. Do it in the order that's instructed. Now I can copy it, or I can go back to the Word document that I said I wasn't going to open, but I see how useful it is. I'm gonna so here's the second one. And did I make the 20? I think I did. Let's see. Yeah, 25. Okay, it is 25 words long. And so it does cut it, right? It meets the requirement, and it says that it should be one or more sentences. Now, not these, right? Not these. Those were just there temporarily, so I can remember what I wrote to help me with this one. I like that answer. I didn't put anything about that comfort in, dump out thing. I just didn't work it into my sentence. Recognize prior knowledge. What do you already know about the text topic? It's still before reading. I looked it over again. It says breast cancer. Okay, there's a lot of medical terminology. I'll put this. I think, and now I have a new challenge because this is 30 or more words and 2 or more sentences, so more is required. So I need at least 2 sentences. I know that there are a lot of medical procedures that I don't know much about. For example, brain aneurysms. And I'm having trouble spelling it right, so aneurysm. I think that's right. Does this have spell check? Yeah, it does. I just wrote a random word, and yeah, I think that's done right. For example, if I had to put an extra Y there, it would have been wrong. All right, so good guess right on my part there. So for example, brain aneurysm, and even something more familiar like breast cancer, I don't know deeply. I don't know in great depth or something like that, in great depth. So that's my first sentence. So what do I already know? I'm kind of saying I don't know much. All right. But let me say perhaps something that I do know. I do know that it's important what we say, especially what we say around patients who are going through a hard time. Because I noticed that, I noticed the word comfort, right? So I want to say what we say around patients with a hard time. I won't even mention comfort, but that word, like comfort in, comfort out, from this here, tells me that it's about that, right? And apparently we do say the wrong thing. One more thing I know. And I know that often, I don't know, often, I'll say sometimes I have said the wrong thing. I have said the wrong thing, or at least wondered if I had said the wrong thing. I'm not going to bother with pasting this in the Word document. It is definitely 30 words. I think right here there are 10 times 4 is about 40. And it is 2 sentences because I have 1, notice a period right there, 1 and 2. And I could have probably split up a couple, I could have split up into 4 sentences. And so that's fine. 30 or more words, 2 or more sentences. And not only that, I'm answering the question, right? Really, there are three requirements, students. It is that it be the minimum number of sentences, minimum number of words, and then you actually answer the question, right? That you don't do something else. So just let's make sure that's how you're going to be graded, a kind of point system, and there will be partial credit. You did one thing but not the other, that kind of thing. But try to get all the points available by doing 3 things, right? Answering according to the instructions, minimum number of words, minimum number of sentences. I think this does it, right? And notice, I hope you see it's not that hard to do. And then there's this, when you look at again, everything's before reading. What questions do you want answered? So I'm not going to go ahead and type that, but I would put a question. Okay, well, I want to know what are the best ways to talk to people who are going through a hard time. Period, right? I also want to know, and why am I doing that? Because that's 1 sentence. And I probably don't have 30 or a minimum of 30. So I need to put another sentence. I also would like to know blah, 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 blah. Okay. This is where I'm speeding it up so that this video doesn't take forever, right? And so I would save that, view my process, and then I'd move on to another section called during the reading. During the reading is what happens when you're actually reading it. So you probably should read it once before you answer these questions. Does the author want the audience to be informed? Or actually, as you're reading it, read the question and say, maybe read them all. Read that one. Read the next one. Okay, tone. So I'm reading quickly. I'm not taking my time here. But you would, okay, that's what I want there. And then what do they want in this one during reading? Da-da-da. Okay, there are lots of them. There are actually 8 in that category. So I read each one so I know what kind to answer. So in this one it says, does the author want the audience to be informed, entertained, or persuaded? What clues help you come up with that answer? So as I read it, I'll realize, okay, and I'll type a sentence. And I'm not going to give the answer, but let's say I realize that what the author wants to do is inform me about blah, 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 period. The reason and then second sentence, the reason I think that is that the author talks about this or that, or because of what it says in the second paragraph. The second paragraph says blah blah, and the author basically says that she's going to inform me, or that they're going to inform me, right? So again, you have to kind of come up with a reason. Students, don't just quote things though. I strongly advise that you not kind of like just copy directly a sentence or a phrase from here. Maybe you can quote 2 or 3 words, but the vast majority of what you write in these little boxes should be in your own wording. Then, and keep that as a general rule of this kind of response, that copying stuff does not show knowledge. Maybe you have knowledge, maybe you understand the thing that you're copying, but how do I know? How does the receiver know? One of the ways we know is that you put in your own words, and so now okay. It seems like the person the student understands, because they're putting it in different wording and still expressing something that makes sense. So I'm expecting that you write this in your own words rather than copy something, paste it. That's my answer. No, that doesn't cut it. Doesn't cut it here, and doesn't really cut it anywhere. Okay, and it's harder that way. Yes, it is. But remember, you're showing your understanding of things, and that's the only way for others to see that. Okay. What emotion does the author want you to feel? What clues help you determine that? How does the tone can be something, happy, it can be sad, it can be dark, light, meaning in the sense that it makes you feel, like, if it's dark, that kind of like you're afraid or angry or something. If it's light, it makes you feel happy, confident, things like that, in that sense. Write 40 or more words in 3 sentences. So you're thinking deeper thoughts, and you're going to give more information in your own words from the reading. So if you're saying that it makes you feel happy, well, then you better find some happy things that were said. I don't think so. I don't think that this one has that. So what is the feeling you want that you got out of it, and then prove it by the things they say. That, she keeps talking about this and that makes me think that it's happy or sad or angry or whatever you want to say, right? But remember, you must answer it, and then 40 or more words and 3 or more sentences, and so on and so forth. Okay. You're going to go through several activities like that. At some point, we'll get to the main idea, and you're going to express what you feel is the main idea. And notice this in your own words, very important. Okay, and notice how much you need to express. It is not that you're copying a sentence or 2 from there. No, you're expressing it in your own words. You're also finding supporting details. You're going to pick out some supporting details that are important that will later go into a summary. Pattern of development, you'll say, what kind of pattern does it have? And although it is an opinion, you're going to prove it based on what you read. How does the pattern affect the author's purpose? What is the author's purpose? And again, there are sentence and word requirements on that, minimums. Make connections in the text. This one's pretty self-explanatory what to do there. Summarize the text. Well, the cool thing about this is, how can you write the main idea and most important details in your own words? Please write 60 or more words in 5 sentences. Here's the beauty of this one. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, because you will already have a main idea from here. You can come in here, grab it, copy it, go into the summary one, and paste it right there. Then go back to the one where you have your supporting details that you picked out, because notice that was 50 or more words and 4 more sentences. Copy those, and then paste them into the summary. Because what is a summary? But the main idea and the most important supporting details. So that one, although it is the longest one, is actually pretty easy because you've already done the work. You're just putting it together. Evaluate an argument. So here's where you're kind of critiquing, and that doesn't mean you're against it or anything. That just means that you are, what is the author's claim? What's the author trying to say or to argue, right? Argue doesn't mean fight, although this one is kind of a very forceful argument. What reasons does the author give? And maybe you already said some of these things in your supporting details. That's fine. Repeat or rephrase some of those things in here. How adequately do the reasons the author gives support her claim? And I kind of am focusing on Susan Sook, but really, how do their claims, right? Because there are two people, support, how do their reasons support their claim or main argument? Okay, so write that 40 more words, three sentences, and then develop your own argument based on it. Do you agree or disagree? If you disagree, you're going to argue the opposite and then give reasons for your support. You're going to say that they're wrong somehow, or that they're partially right but not completely. Again, 40 or more words and 3 or more sentences. And students, you may wonder, well, I don't know what to say. Well, after you read it 2 or 3 times and step by step go through this process, you'll have a better idea what to say. And students, it's always a risk, okay? You might risk that what you were saying doesn't make sense. You know what, though? Let me clue you in on something here. And I mean that as long as what you're saying makes sense, it'll be fine. I'm not going to be overly picky on it. I am going to be picky that it be the minimum word and sentence requirements, and that you're kind of on track of answering the question. And I remember when you made a prediction in one of those first 4 before reading activities, was your prediction right or was your prediction wrong? So don't just say I was wrong or I was right. No. 20 or more words in at least 1 sentence. All right. So you'll lose points if you say, nope, I was completely wrong. Or I nailed it. I was completely right. That is 1 sentence, but it's not 20 or more words. Remember, back here there was this is the one where you predicted, right? What do you think that the text's main idea? And so my prediction was that it was about this, and I'll either say that I was right or I'll say that I was wrong about that. Okay, so that I've kind of given you a little tour of this wheel, right? Now, what happens at the end? Once you have all the answers, or even if you don't, careful, don't turn it in with blanks because you just won't get points for those. You have to do this middle section, my process reflection. Don't take a long time on this, please. Just kind of answer some of these questions in there. Hit save. Notice it shows everything I've been doing when I did it, and you can see that I'm up late or technically really early. It shows how many times I've looked at each one, right? So it's got a really nice summary of the things that I've done. So that's my process and the reviewing my work. Let's see, can I click on this? Okay. Review my work. There are my responses. Everything's there. Looks good. And notice something really important. I can edit each one, make changes, or I can go back to the wheel and do that. Where's the wheel? View my process, and I can make my changes there. I can make my change there. So there are many things you can do, right? But in the review my work, that's where you finally get to turn the whole thing in. Please don't let a tragedy happen. Well, minor tragedy, not a huge thing. Where you did all that work and then I don't get it. You don't turn it in because you don't hit submit assignment. So you will hit submit assignment. Now, in my case, it isn't working because what? I think it might not be working because I didn't put the reflect on my process. So let me put blah, blah, blah. There's my really brilliant reflection right there. I wonder if that's what it takes to let me submit it. It looks like it's not letting me submit it. It might be because I didn't submit everything. I don't know. Or simply because I am not a student who's actually doing this assignment. Let me see. I see here, help, exit, and submit is disabled. It is not enabled, so I can't do it. Let me see. I'm going to experiment real quick here because it won't take that long, and see if I can Let's see if I can just put an answer everywhere, right? Let me go to this one, and I'm just gonna type something real quick. Save. I don't think that's it though, because I think things can be blank. I'm gonna go with the theory that this isn't working for me because I am not a student in actually in this class, and so the submit button is not enabled for me. I mean, I can download it as a PDF. Hey, that's a good thing right there because you can see all your answers, right? So that's good. I don't think that's required though. And then you can hit submit. All right, so I'm gonna count. I'm confident that it will work for you. If it doesn't, just let me know, and then we'll get it fixed. All right, so that's it. That's the Power of Process assignment. There's my little PDF of that. Yeah, I just know. I mean, when I've done this in the students, the only problem I've seen in the past is students don't hit submit. Right? I think if you hit that button, it will finally, I guess, relay or transmit the assignment to me, so that I'll be able to grade it. Was I going to say one last thing? No, I think that's it. If it doesn't work, just let me know. We will be doing another one of these assignments 2 weeks later, 2 weeks from now. And that one will be related to something you're doing in your English composition course. So, and I'm talking with your instructor on this one, on that assignment, trying to figure out which articles or essays to put here. There may be one or there may be more than one. You would only do one, but there may be like 4, and I kind of divide them out into different people. Okay, so that's it. Goodbye.